We are now going to talk about drawing flowcharts using Microsoft Office tools. Every Office tool has built in the ability to draw pictures. Some tools are easier than others. You might be tempted to draw directly inside of your Word document. And I want to show you a little bit about what that looks like. By default, I have a brand new Word document here, and I'm going to put some text. I want to include a flowchart here. And so I'm going to go off and draw that here. So the way I do that is I go to the Insert menu, and then there's this Shapes option. Once I pull this down, you can see I have all types of shapes, but there are specific shapes to a flowchart. And I can select those shapes and draw those inside of here. All right, so there's a process, and I go back inside of here, go back to my shapes, come back and get a decision, and then I can connect these guys by going up here. And you can see now it's given me some options right up inside of here as well. I can do an elbow connector between these guys. Now, a few things that I find limiting about Word. First of all, notice this elbow connector has points to connect to, and it looks like it's connected, but it's not actually connected. In PowerPoint, it will connect by default. There might be a way to make it happen in Word, but it doesn't do it by default. And so now you can see if I want to move stuff around, it becomes very difficult to have it look the way I want it to. The other issue inside of Word is now I want to add more text. So I come in, I'm going to add text. Notice the text is printing behind what I have going on here. If I come up to the flowchart, I can move everything down, but I have to put in everything at the right spot. So I'd have to move this up and move this up and move this around and reorganize everything. And then if I add text in the middle here, it starts moving other parts down. So I have to be very careful about how I manage my picture. It doesn't treat it as one whole piece by default. I'd have to do some extra stuff around that. So what I prefer is don't draw in Word. Do it in PowerPoint, because it gives you a nice clean palette to work from, and it makes it easier to move it over into Word, as we're going to see. So again, here is a blank PowerPoint presentation with the ability to draw stuff, just like the menu we saw over here, inserting shapes. So from the blank PowerPoint presentation, I'm going to go back to the home real quick and put a blank layout inside of here. So on the home, you got the layout. I'm going to make it blank. And then I can go through and insert my shapes. So again, I get a process outside of here, and then, I can do a decision, and then I can go through and add my angle connector. And so now, when I do the angle connector, notice it gives me 4 points that it clicks to, and I can connect from there to 4 points to click to. And these things are now connected. I can move this all around however I wish, and everything's connected. So I can do something like there's my logic that's starting with. I'm getting the age from the user. I'm saying if the age is greater than or less than 10. So based off of that, I can do different logic. And I'm just going to see. Notice I'm just copying and pasting the existing guy and update that. So and it doesn't even matter what my logic is at this point. Just notice that I can copy and paste these guys, so I don't have to keep going back up the menu if I don't want to. I'm doing Control V, Control C, and then I can connect each pieces up to the boxes, and then as I move them around, everything stays connected however I want it to be. So I'm not going to teach you how to draw a flowchart here. I just want to teach you how to use the shapes inside of PowerPoint. Now these shapes are very flexible. I can draw anything I want to, meaning I can do things that aren't even legal inside of code. So for instance, I could draw something like this, which would imply looping, but looping must occur based off of a decision, off of a diamond inside of there. So this is a perfectly fine flowchart if it's a business case, or if it's a repair chart or something like that. It makes sense. From a human readability standpoint, a computer could not code this. I cannot translate this flowchart into a language. So just be aware of that. You are taking on the responsibility of the discipline to draw good flowcharts. Other tools will help you draw flowcharts that only are limited to things you can do in code. The Office suite doesn't do that, obviously. It just lets you draw whatever you need to, but that's okay. this gives us a great tool to be able to draw some basic flow charting. All right, so now I've got my stuff done. I can change it, I can update it, I can, if I don't like the way it looks, I can go through and change the design of this and say, hey, I want this to be totally different. So there you go. Just adding backgrounds and stuff inside of there if you want to, or you can just change the coloring schemes of this. So you can talk about the format and say, hey, I want this to be with a blue border instead, and then I can change that all around. That's one nice thing about copying and pasting. Once I get one of them, I can go adjust all of them. But I get it looking however I want to go to. Then I can select the slide over here, and I can copy the whole slide. So now I have a flow chart, and then I paste it inside of here. Control V, paste, and I keep going in my doc. And so now this is, you can see, one whole block. I move it as one whole block. If I add text up here, it all moves down. If I am messing with text down here, it all moves down. It's basically one big character inside of here now. And so it's treated as one big picture. So you can use it as such. The biggest limitation in using PowerPoint is for really big flowcharts, it's not going to all go on one page. But again, this is all sizable. I click it all and make it all small. I can select it all, go to my text and see with the little down button, make my text small, and so I can really get away with a lot. The biggest thing here is now when I select the whole slide, copy the whole slide out. Oops. I end up with this really small chart over here. So you got to have that trade-off between the size and everything else. You can always do multiple pages if you need to, but most of the logic you should be doing in your class will be very limited to a single page, and you should be able to get away with it pretty easily. So that's a quick overview of using Office tools to be able to draw flowcharts.